If you were to ask me what the most iconic Nintendo DS game was, I would tell you Nintendogs. And I had so many incredible memories playing that game. So that's why I am so excited to say there's a chance it's coming back. Only maybe not in the way you might expect it to be. If you have somehow never heard of it, Nintendogs was a game all about owning dogs. The game took you through each and every step of the process. You adopted them, brought them into your virtual home, and cared for them. And they were also really heckin' cute, mostly. Some of the breeds less so. You did absolutely everything in this game to take care of them. You fed them, you bathed them, you played with them, and you could even teach them tricks, which at the time felt incredibly high-tech. And let's be honest, no other console seems to utilize a microphone as well as the DS did. In order to teach the dog tricks, you would actually have to speak to them through the microphone built into the DS and repeat the word sit over and over again until they finally learned it. You also took the dogs out for virtual walks around the city, and you could even play with them in the park. The final part of the game was taking the dog to different competitions where they would compete to be the best and earn you money to continue spoiling your dogs. And much to my parents' horror, I loved this game. And I use the word horror because I'm pretty sure a lot of parents didn't quite realize what they were getting into when they gave their kids this game. I distinctly remember trying to teach my dog tricks in the car on the way to my grand's house, and my parents repeatedly asking me if I really had to do it there and then. And I will never forget the look on my mum's face the first day I ran down crying because my dog had ran away. Yep, if you didn't feed your dogs enough, they would just escape, and you'd have to go on dog walks with your other dogs to try and find them. This was a kid's game, penalizing you for not playing the game. And so many people loved it, both kids and adults alike. In fact, it was so successful, there was a successor game on the 3DS named Nintendogs and Cats that really didn't add that much extra other than cats, but it still sold over 1 million copies nonetheless. And to further show how iconic Nintendogs was, it even made it into Super Smash Bros. That's it. That's the Hall of Fame. So considering how beloved the game was, how many copies it sold on the previous 2 handheld consoles, I think many were surprised to find that it still hasn't been launched on the Nintendo Switch. And it almost feels like right now would be the perfect time for a game like Nintendogs. Cozy gaming seems to be more popular than ever, and as times get tough around the world, many people who can't buy pets just want a virtual one. But when you really sit down and think about it, Nintendogs doesn't really make sense on the Nintendo Switch. And I think this has been highlighted massively by the fact that there was almost a Nintendogs rip-off game that came onto the market. First of all, the reviews of the game weren't great, but the issue is it was missing all of the Nintendogs charm. And that's because the Nintendo Switch isn't actually equipped for a Nintendogs-like game. First of all, it has no microphone. And I'm pretty sure the only way you can use a microphone on the Switch is to use an approved headset. And without the microphone, that means you can do none of the fun stuff like teaching your dog its name or teaching the dog tricks or doing the trick competitions. And the fact that the Nintendo Switch is both portable and a console doesn't really work in Nintendogs' favor. On the DS and the 3DS, Nintendogs all relied on the touchscreen. But seeing as the Switch can also be docked, that means all the gameplay has to be adapted for console play too. This would therefore make many of the actions, like brushing the dogs and washing them, have to be done by Joy-Cons. And regardless of whether they tried to make this use the motion controls or not, I don't really think it would have the same charm as the original game. The Switch basically lacks so much of what made Nintendogs work. And you know which device already has everything it needs already inbuilt into it? Mobile phones. And it appears Nintendo have also been thinking this. From what we can see, it looks like Nintendo have filed a patent for an augmented reality game involving dogs. It's worth noting Nintendogs wasn't specifically mentioned in this patent. It was mainly focusing on the AR technology itself. They kind of used a dog as an example, but it's an interesting choice and made many think this is Nintendogs related. And when you think about it, Nintendogs coming to mobile really does make sense. And the cool part is, if they're really thinking about going down the augmented reality route, this would mean making Nintendogs literally show up in your own home. If you're not familiar with augmented reality, they did use it in Pokemon Go. It basically uses the camera on your phone to show the entire room, and then the Nintendog will look as though it shows up inside your room on your phone. It's very cool, but also very underutilized technology at the moment. And the thing is, Nintendo turning their big IP franchises into mobile games isn't that unheard of. They've done it with the likes of Mario Kart Tour, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, Fire Emblem Heroes, Super Mario Run, and Pikmin Bloom. And although not directly Nintendo, Pokemon Go proved the power of combining a well-loved Nintendo IP with a good mobile concept. Nothing will beat the early Pokemon Go days. And it was wildly popular, to the point where Pokemon Go couldn't even support the number of players trying to log in on day one. And when you think about it, Nintendogs could do something similar. It could work so well on a mobile phone. First of all, nearly everyone, other than the people still rocking the Nokia bricks, have mobile phones that have inbuilt cameras, microphones, and usable touchscreens. And not to mention the fact that most modern mobile phones or tablets have better screens, battery life, and also are more powerful than the Nintendo Switch is currently. So compared to the 3DS, it has so much potential. For example, you could probably go outside to actually walk your dogs in real life, kind of like what Pokemon Go is now. You could even go to the park and meet friends and have your dogs play together there. And one thing I loved about Nintendogs was that whenever you went on a walk, your dog could go and find presents. It could do that with AR. And with Nintendogs, you'd probably constantly want to keep on checking up on your dogs. And when it's on your mobile phone, it's just made so much easier. I also feel like with the way technology's improved, the dogs would just act way more natural. They could interact with way more objects, way more realistically than we've ever seen before, making them feel more like real pets. And we wouldn't even be limited to just dogs. They could do so much with a mobile game. The potential is limitless. I just feel like Nintendogs was the pre-mobile mobile game, if that makes sense. It basically has all the current mobile game tropes, but back then, before mobile phones became the norm. I only really have two main concerns when it comes to the game. The first one being public transport. Will it become intolerable with so many people trying to talk to their dogs while they have a spare hour or two on the train, let alone kids playing it as well? My second concern is that they might ruin it with microtransactions. I don't feel like Nintendo have been too bad when it comes to microtransactions in their mobile game, but if it gets popular enough, who knows? The only thing I can hope is it doesn't have some sort of energy mechanic. And honestly, when summer rolls around, I'll be looking for any excuse to get me out of the house walking more, and Nintendogs would be perfect. Regardless, even if we're wrong about this patent being about Nintendogs, maybe the hype and buzz about the patent itself might convince Nintendo that they need to make a new Nintendogs. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and whether you'd play it if it came to your phone. And if you're looking for feel-good games to play on the Nintendo Switch, click this video here. I'll see you next time. Bye!